Hi guys, Ganesh here from Covalent. I am the CEO and one of the co-founders of the project. Um, I'm going to be doing a series of talks, town halls, whatever you want to call it, that talks about some of the facets and some of the features of the project, starting with the token economics to the actual token itself, to our go-to-market strategy, to a launch strategy, and so on. Today's session is going to be a brief chat about the token itself. So I have about 4 or 5 points, which are the salient features of the Covalent token. So the first point is that the CQT token, the Covalent Query Token, is just a regular ERC20 contract. Nothing special about it. Just like DAI, or just like any of the 200,000 plus ERC20 contracts out there. Now, the reason for choosing ERC20 as a basis for the token, as opposed to 721s or 1155, is the broad adoption of the standard, not just on the Ethereum blockchain, but also the other EVM compatible chains. So there are variants of, like on Avalanche, for example, you have the ARC20, which is a direct one-to-one compatible version of ERC20. So a couple of advantages on Ethereum. Every wallet out there supports ERC20 contracts, which means that if your wallet can show the price that transfers in, transfers out, your balance, then any wallet out there, especially the ones that use Covalent's APIs, will all be able to show the Covalent API, Covalent token, the CQT token. So that's actually very powerful. So you don't need these wallets to do custom code, custom integration in order to support your token. You cannot say the same thing about the Cosmos zone-based tokens. So if you want to have a Kava token or a band token, the wallet needs to integrate one by one each zone and add special code to support the token. So that's the advantage of going with ERC20 as a standard. Now, the second thing is with ERC20 being adopted across blockchains, other blockchains, is because we believe in the multi-chain future, which means at some point, the ERC20 token, the Covalent token, is going to live on other chains. Now, how exactly it's going to be on Binance Smart Chain and Avalanche and Phantom and Matic is still unclear. There's still some technical hurdles there. You can definitely look at the Avalanche office hour I had last week, where I touched upon this technical challenge we have ahead of us. But I think there are some good solutions on the horizon. So the idea is this token will live. It's living on Ethereum. It'll be settled on it. It'll be visible in your wallet. It has broad applicability to the token itself. The second feature about CQT is that it's not a payment token. Now, this is really, really important, and it points to our history as a project. So Covalent is one of the few companies in this space that is revenue generating today, which means that customers actually pay to use the product. And this is very novel in the space. Most companies don't make money. Covalent does. And we bootstrapped the company. We're a very scrappy startup for the first 2.5 years before taking on venture funding to scale the project. So these companies, which are mostly enterprises, want to pay using stablecoin. They don't want to pay using CQT. Two reasons for this. One is that if they have CQT on their balance sheet, they're exposed to the volatility of CQT, because CQT is a volatile asset. Why expose them to the ups and downs of the token itself? The second thing is that these guys want to budget the usage of an indexing and querying service. Just like how they have a budget for Amazon Web Services, a budget for Zoom, a budget for Google Docs, and so on. So these two features is crucial for enterprise adoption. And so this is why we explicitly chose not to design CQT as a payment token. It's not a payment token. You don't need CQT in order to consume the API. CQT is purely a settlement token on the back end with the decentralized network of validators and indexing and query nodes. So that's the second key point. The third key point is that the ERC20 standard has been around for maybe 4 or 5 years. And some places you can actually make some improvements Some places you can build upon it just based on the experience that we've seen as an industry. So the first thing is CQT can, I'm not saying it's going to, but it can take care of gas costs. So if an exchange wants to do a special incentive or something of that sort, they can take on the gas. If Covalent, the foundation, were to incentivize a wallet to do staking or to do something with the CQT token, we can subsidize the gas costs on behalf of the wallet for the customer. So this is something like how Argent has these gasless transactions. Now, this is available because of a new feature called the permit function. So take a look at it, search for permit ERC20 gasless. A lot of the newer tokens are moving to this model. It just leaves that option on the table if you ever want to take gas, if you want to take on the gas costs for your customers. You're seeing a lot of these meta relayers up in the space, like Biconomy. So this is along the same venue. It's still early to see what's going to happen in the space, but we do leave that option there because these contracts are immutable. You can't really add features in the future. So CQT today ships with a permit function. So we have a toggle and an option if you ever wanted to take on the gas. The fourth thing is CQT has a withdraw function. Now, one of the biggest confusing things about ERC20 contracts is that you do not send money to the contract. You send money to the third party via the contract, which is very confusing. And so if you look at a lot of these popular DeFi tokens, for example, they have a few $1,000s of USDT and USDC locked up in the contract because people accidentally sent the funds to that contract rather than sending the funds to the third party via the contract through a message. There's a subtle difference here. And once you send the funds to a contract, it's locked forever. And you can go look at DAI, for example. Go look at DAI or look at USDT, and you look on Etherscan, the list of token balances, and you usually find other currencies that are locked in there forever. And that's funds that's lost. And it's a very bad user experience. So what we've done is we've added a feature to withdraw funds and return it back to the sender. Now, this is not enabled by default. It does leave that option in there should we want to do this in the future, because it opens up a very clear angle for customer support, like an option for abuse. We can become a money transmitter. There are lots of issues here, but we do have that option should we want to avail of a withdraw function. Now, I want to talk about the why CQT is as an ERC20 contract is actually that important. So CQT being an ERC20 contract means that now you can actually participate in any of the composable DeFi apps. So not only can you see it on any Ethereum-based wallets, you can use it on any exchange. You can use it on Uniswap. You can use it on SushiSwap. You can use it on 1inch, no problem. You can even create a liquidity pool and become an LP. So Covalent, when we launch the project, we are going to definitely initially create those liquidity pools because you want to prevent scams. You want to have the official liquidity pool. So we're going to have one on Sushi, 1inch, Uniswap, Balancer, for example. And there's this long tail of exchanges with liquidity pools and incentive programs that Covalent cannot manage ourselves. The community will manage that. And so at that point, having Covalent token as an ERC20 contract kind of makes sense. So that's another cool advantage. The other advantage is that things like staking, for example, if you have incentivized liquidity provisions. So for example, in the case of Sushi, they have the onsen feature, which is very, very exciting. So when you go and deposit liquidity, so you put CQT and a USDT pair, for example, and you get an LP token, that LP token, you can go and put it into Covalent's staking contract. I have a different session on talking about the Covalent staking options, which gives you an additional yield. And not only that, Sushi also steps in and gives you additional Sushi rewards to provide liquidity. Now, all of this is possible because it's an ERC20 contract. So the staking contracts, the multiple rewards, the support for analytics, all of this is just out of the box. I think just conforming to the standard and widely adopted standards makes a lot of sense in our case. So I think, yeah, so that's basically the high-level features that we have for CQT that is very compelling. I think the way you write these contracts in 2021 are very different from the way you would have written these contracts back like 2018, 2019. We've learned a lot as a community, as a space. So yeah, that's basically what's going on with CQT. I think we have some room for questions. So first question is, please specify which blockchain networks is already indexed by Covalent. So we index about 8 blockchains today. So this is not really related to CQT, but I'll answer this question. So the way Covalent works is we have this API. So for example, give me a list of your assets, your ERC20 assets, or give me granular historical transaction history. The same API works across all of the supported blockchains. So the blockchains we support today are Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, Binance Smart Chain, Phantom, and then all of your testnets. So that is about 8. And then we'll be adding support for Near, Elrond, and then all of the parachains that are EVM compatible, so Moonbeam, Clover, Edgeware, and so on and so forth. The next question is there a lockup for whitelisted members? Yes, there is a 2-year lockup for the whitelisted members. Can you tell us something about the use of CQT in the background, like the indexes? Or is there a different talk? So the CQT token is a settlement token. So the way this works is that customers, the users, developers, they pay using stablecoin, USDT, and then the contract does a market buy of CQT and then distributes the CQT based on the work that has been done. So a portion of that token, the CQT, goes to the blockchain that was indexed. So it goes to the index for indexing rewards. And a portion of that goes to the actual query node, whoever is running that query node. And then a portion of that goes to whoever is hosting the index. So there are 3 separate distinct roles. So our white paper goes into this mechanics of that. But that's basically how it happens. So the stable coin comes in, and then the contract does a market buy, and then it distributes it. So on the back end, it's a settlement token. It is a different talk. Amazing. Okay, so I think this is a very short talk, but we have a bunch of these talks. I think this is a great opportunity for us. Okay, great. There's a question about gas fees and its reduction. What about Cardano? Okay, so back to this thought. It's a great chance for us to really talk about what's going on with the project. There's a lot of moving parts, and I think it's a good opportunity for me to get in front, answer these questions, and we have a lot of these planned. So keep an eye out. But always, you can DM any of the admins on across any of the channels. We're always responsive. You can ask the community. I usually respond to every single question. For the lack of time, I'm not able to answer to every single question, but I'm usually available. The question about gas fees and its reduction. Okay, so think of it this way, right? Think about how a meta transaction layer works. So the person who's signing the transaction signs the transaction and then sends it to the meta transaction layer, and then that person pays the gas fees on behalf of the person signing the transaction and then relays it to the blockchain. So that's how it works. Now you can bring that feature into the contract itself. And this is via the permit function. So take a look at the permit function. I'll probably drop in some links here with the show notes. But the idea is that you can incentivize the gas. So for example, if I say that Argent, or if I said Dharma, or some wallet, or some exchange, some DEX, I could say all of the gas for all of the LP-related transactions, the gas is on the foundation, or the gas is from a marketing budget. You can make that happen on a technical level rather than showing people how much gas was spent and then going and asking for a for a refund or claiming an expense. This can happen during the transaction. So that's really what it is. We'll drop something. It's a very interesting thing. It's not well understood. And I think it should be more mainstream. In fact, they're thinking about the next version of DAI having the permit function. What about Cardano? So we have a long list of blockchains we want to support. Cardano is on that list. But as you can imagine, there's a lot going on in this space. So we're just backlogged like crazy. A partnership with Dapper Labs is possible, indexing Flow blockchain. Kareem, this is an excellent question. So Dapper is, they're actually our neighbors in Vancouver. They're literally across the street, but I've never had a chance to speak to anyone from their team. I did speak to them a couple of years ago with CryptoKitties, but if you know someone, I would love to get an intro and have a chance to talk to them. We would love to index the Flow blockchain. Can I delegate my tokens for staking? Yes, absolutely. So the delegation feature is a non-custodial delegation, which means that if you have, and the staking only works for unlocked tokens, not for locked tokens. So let's say your tokens are unlocked, and then you have these tokens. Now you can either run the nodes yourself, or you can delegate it to another, like a professional validator if you want. And so that is the validation staking rewards. And then we have the LP staking rewards. There's no real delegation there. You just go and deposit your token for LP purposes. Do validators also need to stake CQT? I'm trying to understand how the validators use the success of Covalent. Oh, absolutely. So it's a proof of stake network on the back end. We have a separate session on the network architecture itself. But yes, the validators do need to stake CQT. We're using validators in a very broad with a very broad terminology. There are the indexes, the query nodes, and the hosting nodes. And then there are block producers. If you read the white paper, there are these different roles. All of them have to stake CQT in order to participate. So how do you understand the value of CQT's success of Covalent? So Covalent is the Covalent network, right? The company is like separate, right? And so the value, the way it accrues is that because CQT has only 1 billion tokens, the more market pressure there's more buy pressure, the more the query transaction volume increases, the more the velocity of CQT increases, and that's how value accrues to CQT. So that's really what value accrues to CQT. Can CQT move to a L2 like Arbitrum? Oh, these are some amazing questions. So the answer is yes. So this is the advantage of having it as an ERC20 contract, just a regular plain old ERC20 contract. Now, how exactly it's mirrored onto the blockchain, either it's a mint and a burn mechanism, or it's some kind of like bridge. It's not clear, and I think we're still early in that space. But the idea is that there's some portion of CQT that's going to be on all of these different blockchains, and then there's going to be LP rewards for minting and burning or moving your assets across. But any EVM-based chain, including the Polkadot chains like Moonbeam, CQT will be there at some point. You mentioned in your CoinGecko interview that the difference between CQT and the graph is philosophy. Given that CQT is focused on responding. So philosophy is not about the target customer. Yes, we have enterprise clients. We don't really have retail customers per se because we're an API. We're for developers. But we have, I think we have like over 3,000 developers using Covalent today. So we are, we're going after the same market, but we also have enterprise customers who pay us real money. But the philosophy comes down to how we approach solving the problem of indexing and querying. So with the graph, you need to go and spend a couple of days to write the subgraph, which is an investment on a technical team. With Covalent, we offer a no-code solution. There's no reason to write a subgraph. There's no reason to maintain this. There are other challenges. So from a database perspective, we follow a paradigm called, or the graph follows a paradigm called extract, transform, load. So you extract data from blockchain, transform it using a subgraph, and then you load it into a data warehouse. And then you query that data warehouse using GraphQL. So that's the stack in the architecture of the graph. With Covalent, we follow a ELT paradigm. What that means is we extract and load it into a data warehouse. So the Covalent database has an exact replica of the target blockchain. So it has every balance, every position, every transaction, every log event, everything that's on the blockchain. Like nothing is left out. And then the customers transform it at query time for the use cases that they want to support. So it's inverted. So what that means is that this transformation that you have to write in the subgraph is a single point transformation, as it's meant to serve one use case. In Covalent, because we have a wide variety of use cases, we don't really write these transformations. You can write the transformations however you want. And so that's really the difference in the philosophy. For a reference point, approximately how much would it cost in CAD to run a query, say for all Ethereum transactions of the last hour? I actually don't know the answer to this question. What I can guarantee you is that it's going to be dirt cheap. One of the novelties of having a network, a decentralized network, is that there's going to be downward pricing pressure. So if you look at our most recent fundraise, besides Coinbase and Binance and Delphi and Hashed participating in it, we also onboarded about 4 professional validators. So Figment, Anchor, Chorus One, and Stake with Us. And so these guys are really helping us, shape up this thing. And these guys, they run dedicated data centers. So I would say having this kind of system will make the queries dirt cheap. I don't know an exact dollar figure. Uh, Maybe it's probably a good experiment for us to do. If you were to run a query right now on a centralized system versus a decentralized system, what are you giving up in terms of cost, and what is the cost benefit, what is the latency benefits, and so on? Approximately when Covalent CQT will be listed on Binance, I honestly don't have an answer to this question. There's one more question. Let me get to that. But yeah, so one more question is definitely take a look at our Alchemist program. We have 700 new spots there, and this is a growth and leadership program. So we will teach you how to use data, how to be an alchemist, how to crunch the numbers, how to create pretty charts, how to create memes, all that stuff. So definitely give it a shot. It's the best way to participate in Covalent, and we're airdropping CQT to all of the participants. What was the pre-seed raise? It was 500K. So all of the fundraising is public on our token metrics page. Unfortunately, that page is banned for Americans and Canadians, so I can't bring it up here because I'm Canadian. But go to the token metrics page. We've raised a total of $5.1 million. So that was it was 500, 2.6, 2 point something. Thank you. This is what it is. It's the more you participate, the more you show your face, the more people trust you, the more people believe in the vision of Covalent. So we've been building this for 3.5 years, and it's too early to do victory laps. We're in it for the long term. We're strapped in, and I hope you guys are all strapped in with us, because it's going to be an exciting few next couple of years. Great. Okay, I think I've answered all of the questions, and we have 3 minutes to spare. I think there is going to be a recording of the session, and we'll share this through all of our channels. See you around until the next session. Thank you. Bye now. Yes, there will be a recording.